What was the please stop school presentation that you witnessed? Someone in my class did a book report on the dictionary. The teacher was pissed. All of us students thought it was hilarious. Never heard the end of the presentation. Damn, I wish I had thought of that. I hated book reports. Me too. I was the kid who always just watched the movie. How long did they go on for? I would have been dying laughing. Maybe 3 minutes. Once the teacher clued in that he wasn't joking, and he went on to explaining the chapter, she made him stop. In college, someone was doing a presentation on Nelson Mandela and kept referring to Africans as African Americans. My mom had a black friend from the UK who was also Muslim. She came out to the US for business and people were shook by this black lady in a hijab with a British accent. Someone called her an African American and she said, "I really hope I don't sound American." Had a boyfriend who immigrated from South Africa with his family as a teenager. One of his parents was from South Africa, one was American. He was African American, but also white. It was a long slog through high school with that one. Like how Elon Musk is African American. This was in freaking college. RBO finals were to present on any topic that was related to biology. A group was presenting on types of protection for intercourse. Not once did they refer to any body parts or fluids by their scientific names. So, yes, they literally had dick, cum, and kitten on slides and read off them. Everyone kept glancing over at our professor, who had this look, like he was just constantly cleaning his glasses, because he couldn't believe what he was witnessing. They got Kentucky trucked on grading. I googled Kentucky trucked but it just delivered porn results. Kentucky freaking chicken. Not a presentation, but during our school assemblies we often had student performers, which were usually musically inclined individuals or theater kids doing a scene/monologue. One kid decided to do a stand-up comedy routine about a girl giving him a sucky suck. So awkward and the principal had to interrupt him. For some reason the pure cringe from this hit me like a truck. I can only imagine what being in the audience would be like. A friend of mine did a stand-up routine for a talent show. I laughed for him because no one else was. His younger brother came up to me afterwards and thanked me for laughing because he didn't want to be the one to fake it. It was my sophomore year English class. This kid who was reading his essay in front of the class and started to stumble over some of the words. The teacher recognized the words and found the essay the kid plagiarized and started helping him read it. The kid didn't understand what was happening and just thanked the teacher and kept reading. I don't have time to reply to everyone, but here's a few more details for clarity. This was in like 2004. The teacher found the essay on the internet. He gave the kid a day to try again. The kid was stumbling over the words because they were big ones he'd evidently never seen before. Everything else is fuzzy since it was over 15 years ago. Cheers. Thanks for the upvotes. Imagine the kid realized and said truck it and kept reading. That's how I'm imagining it. I watched a kid in his last year of high school start his presentation with "I might duck up" while presenting this because I plagiarized the whole thing last night and barely practiced. The prof didn't hear what the student said, but just acted like they did and gave a smile and thumbs up signaling that the student could begin presenting. The whole class heard it, but everyone was just too shocked and curious to see if he would actually be able to pull it off. I'm pretty sure he did. Ballsy move, Jason. Ballsy move. I went to school for computer security. In an introduction to computer security course, we had to do a project on social engineering. A student decided that for his project he was going to find a way to gain access to a chosen website. He found a small local business website, identified that the domain was registered to an email address from a local ISP called the ISP. To reset the password, they asked him for his last 4 of his SSN. So he hung up. He found the phone number of the business, so called them and pretended to be from the ISP, offering 3 months free if the person did a 5-question survey. They accepted and answered some BS questions. Then he asked for the last 4 of the guy's SSN, which they gave no problem. He then called the ISP with the last 4, got them to reset the password of the email account. He then logged into the email and used it to get the domain registrar to send a password reset to the email, which he used to reset the password of the domain account, and deleted the email. He recorded all phone calls and screenshotted the whole process as he presented all these. We kept expecting him to say, but that would be illegal, so I didn't do X, but he went all the way. The professor finally stopped him after he said he logged into the domain registrar and told him to destroy everything and never speak of it again. I think the professor was a bit nicer than he could have been. Potentially to the point of accomplice, telling him to destroy evidence. Wow, nothing like committing digital crimes to pass a class. A little over 1/5 of my computer science class has committed digital crimes for homework. I'm certain of it. Cryptology is a fun field, lol. Back in 2008, when my class did a pen test on a local bank, our professor went to the CEO and asked for permission first. Detailed everything we even might try. The CEO said go for it. Written permission with detailed explanations of everything we might do. In history class, we all had to do a presentation about some sort of injustice in the world. One kid chose a prison camp for his topic. All his PowerPoint slides were photos of men being stripped, chained, whipped, sodomized, and forced to give sucky sucks. We were 13. Yes, his project was about Abu Ghraib. How far did the teacher let him go before he was stopped? The second slide. Teacher interrupted to ask how many explicit pictures there were. The student showed the thumbnails of the slides, and it was something like 40 slides long. Goddamn, what the truck. I feel like he was really committed to the act. I mean, it did show the class how trucked up the camp was, and he probably wanted to see how far he could go before being stopped. I doubt he was attracted to the photos. I'd think that if you were a 13-year and you found a huge gallery of really trucked up crap and you were making a slideshow about really trucked up crap, you'd think you've hit gold, or he's trucked up. But we don't know either without more details about the slide. In speech 101 in college, we had to pick a children's book and voice act each character. That was it. That was the entire assignment. Well, one student decided to take it to the next level. He chose a Berenstain Bear book and decided to not only do voice acting for every single one of the characters, but also act it out. It was physically uncomfortable to watch this guy scramble around the room and pretend to be bears and other animals. It was not well done. It was awful. That sounds hilarious. It definitely would have been really fine if it wasn't. So sad, if that makes sense. Everyone in the room was very uncomfortable. You could feel it. There's a level of cringe that becomes painful instead of funny. Psychology class. Our final was to research and to a presentation on a mental illness. One group chose necrophilia. Started with the first slide saying let's crack open a cold one. They did that joke on Criminal Minds, for Christ's sake. It's pretty tired, just separate and apart from the inappropriateness. They did that joke on Criminal Minds, for Christ's sake. It's pretty tired, just separate and apart from the inappropriateness. The students showed us the slideshow. I wasn't the kid who made it, lol. For 8th grade talent show, 2 girls sang the Mr. Bledel song. Mr. Bledel was a good-looking, recently college graduated teacher that basically was about how cute they thought he was. Even then, it was incredibly uncomfortable, and I remember looking at the teacher's face, and he didn't seem very amused. God, I would hate to be that teacher. I remember in high school, one young and cool English teacher had to stop teaching English to seniors because they were so obviously obsessed with him. It was gross and uncomfortable. I had a teacher that was basically the opposite. Girls were crazy about him. I had bad family issues and ended up on the streets. He actually came to see me one day and offered to let me stay at his home. I was really creeped out. I was 15 at the time. Then 3 years later, I find out he was forced to resign for sleeping with multiple students. I've told this on Reddit a few times, but it's truly unforgettable. Smart kid in the class was giving a deeply sourced PowerPoint presentation on religion in Europe. He opens up his files, proceeds to click on his project named n*GGER. He says clearly I wasn't really paying any attention when I named my file. He gives the presentation. He stutters and sweats bullets while we watch in utter disbelief. The word is sitting there on the top of the file heading the whole time. This was during a study abroad semester while attending a cultural communication class. He had to rot in his own poop after that. Bro, what happened to him though? Some people left class for the day because of the incident. The teacher asked everyone to stay to talk about what happened, and the guy broke down a bit. It was uncomfortable. Luckily for him, the class was ending within the next week or two, so I believe he took his exams and such outside of the classroom. Some students took to Facebook to oust him. I honestly don't really remember seeing him much after that. I think the students in the program avoided him mostly. The people who left class were black friends of his that were kinda shocked, and they just decided to walk out. But why did he do that? And where was the class? The only thing I can think of is that I've occasionally named my essay files for university things like this goddamn beach and WTF is this poop as a joke to myself, and then I change the file names to the essay title before submitting them to be graded. Why this dude chose a racist name for this particular presentation, no idea, but my guess is probably because he finds things like that edgy and funny. For my Spanish class in 9th or 10th grade, we had to give presentations. I don't remember what the topics were, but I do remember that this one kid named his presentation Stupid Spanish Poop and got an earful from the teacher. He was the lovable class clown, so he got off with just a warning.